So, guys, thanks for your patience. But it gets even worse. We got Bill Nye, the science guy that we
Who
all
I used
saw as
to
kids,
love as a kid.
right? So we saw him as a
Gosh.
kid. He has something to say about your kids. Here he goes.
Denial of evolution is unique to the United States. I mean, we are the world's most advanced technological. So, I mean, you could say Japan, but generally, the United States is where most of the innovation still happens. People still move to the United States. And that's largely because of the intellectual capital we have, the general understanding of science. When you have a portion of the population that doesn't believe in that, it holds everybody back, really. Evolution is the fundamental idea in all of life science, in all of biology. It's very much analogous to trying to do geology without believing in tectonic plates. You're just not going to get the right answer. Your whole world is just going to be a mystery instead of an exciting place. As my old professor Carl Sagan said, when you're in love, you want to tell the world. So once in a while, I get people that claim they don't believe in evolution. And my response generally is, why not? Really, why not? Your world just becomes fantastically complicated when you don't believe in evolution. I mean, here are these ancient dinosaur bones or fossils. Here is radioactivity. Here are distant stars that are just like our star, but that are at a different point in their life cycle. The idea of deep time, of this billions of years, explains so much of the world around us. If you try to ignore that, your worldview just becomes crazy. It's just untenable, self-inconsistent. And I say to the grown-ups, if you want to deny evolution and live in your world that's completely inconsistent with everything we observe in the universe, that's fine. But don't make your kids do it, because we need them. We need scientifically literate voters and taxpayers for the future. We need people that can, we need engineers that can build stuff, solve problems. It's just really a hard thing. It's really a hard thing. In another couple centuries, that worldview, I'm sure, it just won't exist. I mean, there's no evidence for it, so.
Shill Nye, the liar guy.
I love how he starts out saying, the denial of evolution is unique to the United States. Bro, have you ever been around the rest of the world? Do you know how many other cultures don't believe American science? Like billions of Muslims, billions of Hindu in India, bro, talk about a subjective brainwashing statement right off the bat to impose on you social shame so that if you don't believe their lies they're propagating. But he says it straight up. Like, he thinks that, if you don't believe in evolution, then you're causing a problem for society, which is why he goes on to say, we need your kids. We need your kids. They need to indoctrinate your kids early.
Yeah, the Science Guy World Tour must have been canceled because he didn't get to get out. And let us specify real quick, because I gotta say I believe in a form of evolution, just not the one that he's talking about, because there's things that are absolutely observable, measurable, and testable in reality. We have speciation, there's adaptation, there's mutation, and all those things can be tracked and recorded. But macroevolution, in the sense of a change of kind, we don't see dogs out here changing into cats. We don't see monkeys turning into humans, because that's not how it goes.
That's right.
And there's no evidence for it.
That's right. That's why Harambe was trying to leave the zoo. He was like, I got things around me not changing. They told me I'm about to turn into a human. I can't handle it. Yeah, it was crazy, man. So I think really the biggest with evolution, it gets more publicity, if you will, for the fight than heliocentrism, right? They teach heliocentrism at an assumption level. They push evolution at an argumentation level, and they get you distracted. While all the while you still believe in heliocentricity. All the while you still think that you go around the sun, which completely is in contradiction to the scriptures. But guys, just like he said, well, there's no evidence for it. He's talking about people, geocentricity, as well as Lawrence Krauss. They think there's no evidence. They think all the evidence points towards heliocentricity, right? Well, I'm going to walk you guys through real quick some evidence that actually disproves heliocentricity. And this is things that you can see with your natural eye in the sky. Okay, guys? So we're told that we can see Venus. Certain parts of the northern hemisphere, they'll say, well, you can see Venus 3 hours before sunset and 3 hours after sunset. And supposedly in the cosmological model, Venus is located very close to Mercury, close to the sun. I'll show you real quick, just as a quick refresher for anyone who's not familiar. Heliocentricity teaches that the Earth is 3 planets away from the sun, so that we're going around the sun, and between us and the sun is Venus and Mercury. They claim that Mercury is 43 million miles from the sun. They claim that Venus is 67 million miles from the sun, and at its longest elliptical point, Earth is at 94 million miles away from the sun on average. Okay, so that means someone that wants to look at Venus in the night sky, maybe you're a curious little amateur astronomer, and you want to see where Venus is, but the sun's already set, which means you have a definitive line you cannot see around. Okay, you have an actual divider line. So how are you going to look at it? Well, you're going to have to go and look at Venus at a certain angle. The most prominent time, as recorded by everybody, that you can see Venus is at 46 degrees above the horizon for up to 3 hours after the sun sets. Well, we've got a geometry problem, guys. The Earth is actually, this is a guy that's looking at Venus in the night sky. All right, so it's that light right there that he's looking at in the night sky. He angles up his telescope at 46 degrees. The sun's already set. In fact, this is an hour after sunset. It's claimed to be seen another 2 full hours after sunset. And that's a big deal because this is the average people on average claim they can see 3 hours after sunset. They can still see this supposed star in the sky, or this supposed planet in the sky, Venus. Okay, and he's trying to zoom in with his telescope there. We're not going to watch the whole thing. But the point is, 1 second, we go back to the.
You can see it at night there. Yeah. And the word for planets in Greek there, planetes, is a word that meant wandering stars. So it's as if they're just no different than the stars, because they're definitely not terra firma physical land masses that could be landed on.
That's right. That's right. So we were just looking at the gentleman that was looking at 46 degrees. If he's on a ball in space on the dark side of the ball, because remember, every 24 hours, you have a dark side of the ball because it's facing away from the sun. That means he has to look over the dark side of the horizon down at Venus at 46 degrees in the sky. But yet, here's the problem, Wes. The Earth is, according to heliocentricity, the Earth is still spinning.
Yeah.
So if it for 3 hours, if you can still see Venus, that means the Earth has then spun an entire 1/8 of its revolution out of 24 hours.
Yeah.
Right. So then if he was originally there trying to look at Venus in the sky, but the Earth is spinning, 3 hours later, he can still see Venus in the sky. That means he's going to be even that much further away from being able. He's that much further on the dark side of the Earth. Right.
Yeah. I follow you. The angle got much more tight. Yeah.
So then suddenly, if he can still see Venus 3 hours after the sun has set from his observation level, then Venus would have changed places in the heliocentric model and moved between the Earth and Mars.
Right.
Instead of between Mercury and the Earth.
But they know that's not what they say happens.
Guys, this is impossible. This is not what we observe in our. You don't even need a telescope. You see it with your natural eye.
Mm-hmm.
So, according to the geometry of their own model, it's impossible. Can't be done. Heliocentricity doesn't work with what we can see with our own eyes in the sky.
And to be able to catch this phenomena, quote unquote, I would recommend an app. There's something that I'd love to have included in the show. We just have so much. We're already almost 2 hours. But if you look up an app, it should be an Android and both Apple Play stores or whatever the case. There's an app called Star Maps or Sky Map. There's a bunch of different ones out there. But what they'll do is you'll be able to have your camera act as an augmented reality device to be able to point in the direction of different constellations, and it'll show it out on the screen. It'll even show where the so-called planets are. And what's interesting to me, the greatest thing about those kind of apps is it really helps you visualize that all of what they call planets, including the sun and the moon, are going on an ecliptic. And when you hold this app, you're looking at it, you can turn around and you can be able to see that all the stars that they say are fixed in that celestial sphere that I talked about in my video earlier. They just continue to, you could literally stand there with the app for 24 hours, 48 hours, however long you wanted to, with that on, and just watch the same exact stars, including what they call planets, going around in circles around us along that ecliptic. And that ecliptic line is what they call the zodiac line, where the 12 constellations they call the zodiac are right there. That's where those luminaries travel through. And so it's just doing circles around us endlessly. And you can see that with an app like that. It's a great visual tool.
It's difficult to believe that while I'm sitting at this desk, this room is moving at the amazing speed of 66,000 miles an hour.